which came first, the juice box or the NASA drink beverage bag? But anyway, it's kind of a gauche way to drink your fluids, but it's a perfectly fine engineering way to get your beverages when you're in a weightless environment. And so here you see a picture where I've got a bag, a cone of coffee, just like this, and above me there is our beverage machine. I call it the galley. And it's basically a hot water, cold, or I should say room temperature water machine that can inject either room temperature water or hot water into one of these bags so that you can drink your bag of coffee. Now, when you leave Earth, you are leaving the zone of water. We talk about water shortages here on Earth, and really on the planet, there is no such thing as a shortage of water. There may be a shortage of potable water in certain locations. There may be a shortage of water you could use for irrigation in certain locations. But on a planetary scale, there is no shortage of water. And you don't really know the meaning of a desert until you leave the planet. And then you find out what it means to not have a bunch of water with you. And so, human beings liking to drink their coffee, we need to have a source of water. So there's our galley machine, which squirts out all this nice, clean, potable water, either room temperature or cold, or room temperature or hot. But where does the water come from that runs that machine? Next slide, please. Well, it comes from some refrigerator, upright freezer chest kind of size pieces of equipment. And this is one of those pieces of equipment, a picture taken inside. And here you have all kinds of pumps and filters and things like that, which can help purify the water so that it's fit to drink. But where does the water come from that goes into this machine? Next slide, please. It comes from this machine. And this machine, it's a still. Now, it's not a moonshine still. We refer to, even though in space there's moonshine, right? But it's not the kind of moonshine you think of. It's real moonshine, and this is not just a still. We call it a distillation unit. And it's a lot like distillation on the ground, but distillation involves bubbles and vapor and liquids and separation, and that's all due to gravitational buoyancy forces. So in order to distill something in a weightless environment, you have to have rotating machinery, which creates an angular acceleration, which is a fancy way it makes its own gravity, and then vapor and liquid and droplets in gas and things like that can separate out, and you can run a distillation outfit in a weightless environment. And this is our machine for doing that. When it flew up, it actually came up on STS-126. We brought it up on our space shuttle. It was serial number 001. And it ran for a couple of days, and then it broke. And we actually flew it back down with us on STS-126. And then the NASA engineers sharpened their pencils. They figured out what the issue was. We flew it back up. And we've had some wiggles with this piece of equipment. It's a complicated piece of equipment. It's serial number 001. But we've got the bugs worked out. And this thing has been running for years now as a distillation outfit, making water that goes into the filter system, which then goes into our galley, which ends up making coffee for us in the morning. So where does the water come from that goes into this distillation outfit? Next slide, please. It comes... you see, it takes technology for human beings to go into frontiers these days. Used to be, if you wanted to go to a frontier, you just walk west. If you had a horse, you could ride the horse, and you just figure out what to do when you went there. Nowadays, frontiers are bottom of the ocean, a high altitude flight or high altitude mountains, going into space, under the stage of a microscope, through the eyepiece of a telescope. These are the frontiers now that human beings can explore, and it takes equipment to go on these frontiers. And it takes equipment because we're going places that human beings were not meant to be. And the only way we can go there is to take pieces of equipment that provide us things so that we can live there. And to make this equipment, it takes engineering, and you need to have a little bit of math to do the engineering. You need to have the science that goes behind all of that. So that way you can have all this equipment that will allow you to live in these frontiers, which is why I tell students that in order to do what I do for a living, you need to know math, you need to know science, you need to know engineering, because you have to take care of the machines that allows you to live in the environment that you're in, and this frontier happens to be space. So anyway, this menagerie of tubes and pumps and separators, this is in this piece of equipment, and it separates liquid from gas. So there's a fan that sucks in a lot of air, there's liquid in the air, and this machine separates the liquid from the gas, and then it shoots the liquid into that distillation outfit that you saw. So where does the water come from that goes into this air-gas separator? Any ideas? Next slide we'll see. Now this is not our galley, this is our toilet. And what I've been describing here is what we refer to as a regenerative life support system. Because remember, we're going off into this desert, not just a desert here on Earth, but the desert of space, where you can't even find water. So you got to take the water that you already got with you, and you got to figure out how to separate out the nasty stuff from the good stuff, and then you recycle the good stuff. And we call that our potable water. And you can see here, this is part of our zero gravity space toilet. And that funnel thing, that bright yellow thing, collects the urine. Now, when I took this picture, I sent it down to my family, and I told my boys, this is a sunflower. And I got an email back, and they said, no, this is not a sunflower, it's a peony. So someone asked about plants in space. Well, this is a different kind of plant. So again, what I've showed here is our regenerative life support system, part of it, where we start off with urine, goes into air, urine separator. The urine goes into this fractional distillation equipment. The bad stuff goes in one container, the good stuff goes in another direction, goes through a bunch of filters into the galley, and then you can make a bag of coffee with it. And the NASA engineers call this regenerative life support system, but you know, that doesn't, to me, connote what it really does. I like to refer to it as the coffee machine. Because it can't take yesterday's coffee and turn it into today's coffee.